of a day, and welcome to my podcast. Funny enough, today's episode is on how to make a podcast. Dictionary.com defines a podcast as a digital audio or video file or recording, usually part of a theme series, that can be downloaded from a website to a media player or computer. In this episode, I will be reviewing a checklist of the basic steps to creating your first podcast. Step 1. Find your topic. People podcast for many reasons. Most people podcast to express something they feel passionate about, something they love, something they're knowledgeable of, something they believe in, some to advertise, and some to make money. So when you're choosing your topic, you will need to take a few things into consideration before making the podcast. You will need to ask yourself, what is your podcast for? And who is your audience? Step 2. Select your type of podcast. The next step is to select your type of podcast. And many new podcasters can't seem to decide whether they want to do an audio or video podcast, which is also known as vodcast. Here, only you can decide which way to go and what you're able to do. The tools you'll need to create your first podcast are a computer with a built-in camera and a microphone. You can also use a smartphone or an old-fashioned video camera or handheld audio recorder. When deciding which way to go, you may need to consider a few sensitive realities. If you're bad on camera, then no amount of high-quality production is going to make your podcast more professional. However, the same is true of your talent on the mic. The most important thing here isn't whether your podcast is audio or video. It's where will you look and or sound most polished. Step 3. Podcast recording software. To lay your recordings on tracks, you will need to download software where you can create and edit your podcast. If you're on a budget, don't worry. There are many types of free software out there. For audio, Audacity and ePodcast producers are one of the best editing softwares you can use. For video, there are a couple of things you're going to need also. You'll need to use a microphone, a video recorder, then you need to pick up some software. Camtasia, Jing, Movie Maker, Screencast, are just some of the ones you could use. For my podcast, I prefer Camtasia. Step 4. Decide where you would like to upload your podcast. Once you finish making your podcast, you need to decide where you want to upload it. Uploading your podcast is fairly easy. One of the most popular sites is YouTube. YouTube makes it quick and easy to share your work with the world. The best part is that it's free. You can either upload yours on YouTube or Screencast, iTunes, Podomatic, or Blogger. If you'd like to see more options, you can always search online for other sites. This concludes this episode on how to make a podcast. Thank you very much, and see you next time.